Hi everyone, my name is Dynasty.
And I'm Charles, and welcome to Mental Health in the Hood.
And this is a mental health show. All right. Okay, so this is season 2. It's about psychological and emotional trauma. The topic of today is from childhood to incarceration, a Black mom embraces redemption. So we have a special guest here today. We have Danielle. So we're going to clap it up for Danielle. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So, Dad, can you kind of tell us a little bit about Danielle?
Yes, Danielle, she's amazing. I first met Danielle when she used to come to our sites at one of our locations, and she used to just come in with full of energy. She was an ICMS worker at the time, and she was there to look out for her mental health clients. And from there, moving forward, she actually became a part of the team. And so when she became a part of the team, we were in training one day, and she was telling her story. And I just thought that she was so resilient, everything that she'd been through, the way that she faces struggles, the way she have gotten through struggles, and all the places she have been. So it really caught my eye, and I said, why not have her on the Mental Health in the Hood show?
Why not?
Yeah, so welcome, Danielle.
Thank you.
Thank you. How do you feel?
I feel great.
Feel great?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're glad to have you here.
Okay, so now we got shout outs and celebrations.
We can't never forget about shout outs and celebrations.
Okay.
Good job. You was on it. All right. So we want to first and foremost shout out Wallace. He was our previous guest for episode 3. He came to talk about his mental illness and the struggles of transitioning from prison to the community.
Yes.
So we want to thank Wallace for coming by.
Thanks, Mr. Wallace. We appreciate that. Check out his show.
Yes, check it out.
Good information.
Also, too, we want to thank everybody for attending our Zoom meetup that was on Wednesday, September 9th at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We talked about emotional and mental abuse. So how was that?
Oh, that was beautiful. I think like them topics need to be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
People need to feel supported. You know, there are emotional times in their life, and it's just a part about growing.
Yeah.
Growing is everything now. So we just setting that platform just to be open with the people. It was a wonderful experience.
All right. Thank you, Dad.
Yes.
And then we want to thank you and everyone for following and supporting and subscribing and liking our videos, sharing our videos. We really appreciate that type of support. It really helps us be inspired and to continue this work and basically continue making a difference in our communities.
Yes.
So before we get started, I'm just going to give a little brief introduction about what is psychological and emotional trauma. So please understand this is a brief definition, so it's pretty generic. So psychological and emotional trauma is damage or injury to the psyche after living through an extremely frightening or distressing event. It may result in challenges in functioning or generally coping after the fact. While each person who experiences a traumatic event will react differently, many recover well with the proper support system and do not experience long-term problems. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you guys. So I guess we can get into the real meat and potatoes of this meeting. And let's start off with the questions.
Yes. Hey, Danielle.
Hey now.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Okay. I have a few questions. Well, we have a few questions for you. And all that we just expect is for you to be open, honest, share with the people out there. And let's get started.
Okay.
All right. My first question is, tell us about where you grew up and the conditions of your childhood.
Well, I grew up in Watts and the Imperial Courts, and I would say a pretty standard, typical family in the 80s. Receiving welfare. My mom did hair in the house, but my grandmother, she was the pillar of the family. She actually was the employment specialist in my community, and she had an office there, and she assisted the community with the youth build and just all type of inspirational things. So that was the pillar of our family. A lot of my uncles and aunties had jobs or either volunteered in the community gym. So that was my, foundation to service and giving back. But like I said, through those trying times, that typical family in the 80s experiencing gang violence, the crack epidemic and all of that stuff. So, I had some of the family members who was falling victim to drugs, despite that good upbringing. We used to walk to church together. That's why I said I know everybody can kind of like picture those typical times, in the 80s when we were all kind of going through and we still had that glue, that cohesiveness, because we either had our big mama still around. So, I was affected by me trauma, or I would say a generational trauma that was passed on, is because my mother was in a domestic violence relationship before I was even born in the 70s. And my mother ended up going to prison, for murder. And when she came home, she had my 2 sisters already. And she ended up having my brother in 79. And she was pretty much cool. She had 2 daughters and a son. I'm the last one. I'm the baby. I was unexpected. My mom didn't even know she was pregnant with me till about 4 months. So, I was conceived, under a notion of, just having a good time, good friendships. She was trying to rebuild and, move on with her life. Yeah. So it kind of stopped her, and I think that caused her depression and stuff to kick in, because that wasn't her plan. You know what I mean? Her and my dad, they didn't really have a relationship. You know what I mean? They were cool. He didn't have any children at the time. He just moved from Kentucky, Louisville. Shout out to Louisville, y'all. They out there on the main line. You know what I mean? But that's part of my roots as well. Yeah. And so, like I said, when I kind of came along, it was an unwanted thing. But right now, today, I stand on it. Me and my mother, we are best friends. I turned out to be the one who was like really similar to personalities and behaviors and everything. So it was like I learned how to identify myself with my mama. It's kind of like we grew up together by realizing and seeing, different things in each other and saying, you know what, that's how we change it. That's how we make it better. So I have been through so much. It's like kind of like pick one, and I can tell you how I overcame. But those were the surroundings, and that's why I could say I grew up, better than some, worse than others. Shout out to Nip, because I could really stand on that. Like I said, had the grandparents, had the Salad Foundation, but also had the environmental influences of the 80s. What made me want to start gang banging in the 90s. I started high school when I was 13. I was, young, and so everybody was pretty much already older.
Okay. Well, before we go into that, let's
go
into the next question.
I was trying to get through it okay, boom, that was childhood. Now let's go there. You know what I mean?
You got the right mind state right now.
Cool.
We just don't want to forget the questions, so
okay.
people can know exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
I told you she got a lot of energy.
I got the questions embedded in my head, so I'm like, okay, we're gonna go for that. We're gonna hit that, and we're gonna, hit that.
Okay, can you identify, you just were kind of like going into it, so can you identify one critical time in your life that led you to join a gang at 13?
Growing up over there, and I was in and out of my community. That was another thing I was telling your dad one day. That's what I think helped me to get, that healthy cultural balance, because even though I was living in my community, I went to school in Long Beach and Cerritos and different things. I got to learn different people. But it was 96, the thug life era, Death Row, Dog Pound. Y'all can imagine, it's kind of after 80s era, And when I went back to high school that summer, a lot of my friends was gay, or they was like experiencing drugs or different things. It was like when the rubber met the road, and I knew that I liked hanging out with guys, but I didn't want to be, the type of person that's sleeping around. I knew I liked the environment, but I knew I wanted to be respected. You know what I mean? I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be a part of something, and I always knew that I was smart, and so I figured that school not for me. You know what I mean? So I'm going to use this right here, this influence, this guidance, and all this good game that I thought that I had, and I'm going to put it towards the streets. And that's when I chose. I chose what I wanted to be, what I wanted to be a part of, and I could have chose education. It was really that time to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. And I kind of said, I want to be a gangster. You know what I mean? Because it was, like I said, those was the examples. You wasn't really seeing no other examples. And I was just like, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I knew I didn't want to be a few of those things that I saw. And it was just like, okay, I thought that it would help me to be self-sufficient. I learned how to hustle. You know what I mean? I learned how to stand on my own 2 feet. I learned how to defend myself, of course, and I learned how to be out here, in an environment, and not be afraid because I was a woman. you know, it was kind of like my mask. You know what I mean? It was what I could hide behind.
Your
You know, my shield. You know, and it helped me to grow emotionally numb too as well.
Yeah.
It helped me to not feel the feelings of abandonment because I can hit the hood. I know I got my homie support. To not feel that the lack of guidance, because the big homies out there, I could get some advice for them. You know what I mean? So it was just like, you know what? I'm not getting what I wanted out of this, so I'm going to go right here and I'm going to build like this.
And it's funny because that's how it usually happens, that attraction.
Yeah.
Right? That attraction is real. Like when you missing certain things at
Yep.
home, and then everything looks so flashy on the street, and then the support. You know, people are supporting you for giving you pats on the back, just for doing a little of nothing, though.
Really.
But it makes you feel like that you're a part of something.
Right.
And that's why it's so hard for, you know, people to walk away from gangs now, because you experience so much at a young age and it's embedded in you, and it's hard to get it up out of you.
And it's also seemed like it's a sense of brotherhood and sisterhood in its own way. Because I think that people don't know that gangs was also built to protect our communities, because we didn't have nothing that we belonged to. But then, you know, you're dealing with the systemic things that are happening, so then it turns into violence, drugs, and everything else.
Genocide came
bad, the drugs, and things like that. So
things have changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
that's it. Thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of insight in the master. So my other question is a two-part question.
Okay.
And it's, how old were you and your children when you went to prison? And the second part of the question, how did incarceration affect your ability to be a mother?
When I went to prison for the second time, I was 28. I just had my daughter. She was 2 months. My son was 3. And it was tough. I think that was the most, how do you say, after you have a baby?
Was it postpartum?
The postpartum, okay, like, because she was only 2 months, and when I went there, you know how you get your roll up, because I used to sleep with her every night, so I used to get my roll up and put it in my arm so I could go to sleep.
Wow,
and it let me know that I knew if I couldn't sleep without her, she couldn't sleep without me.
Wow.
When I was standing at my cell, I was on the top tier when I was in the county, and the TV was right there. And it was a good thing and a bad thing, because, you know, when you can't get out, I used to be able to sit at the door and I could, you know, kind of just glance at the TV. But when I would see diaper commercials or baby formula, it would break me down. You know, and as I advanced in my career, I learned in the game a lot of triggers to PTSD can be sounds or smells. You know what I mean? One time when I was in prison after fighting a life sentence, I smelled the pressing comb, you know, on the yard. It was my first time smelling the pressing comb in here, you know, with some lifers in. And I broke down because, like I told y'all, my mama did hair at home. And I smelled that pressing comb, and I went in there and I broke down because I could close my eyes and be in my kitchen and be in my house. You know, in those times that I didn't have, you know, that pain and didn't feel and didn't understand and know, you know, it would take me back to my innocence, you know. So when I went there that last time, I just really got serious about my life, because once again, it was that same generational curse. When my mother went to prison, she had 2 kids. You know what I mean? Who was raising them? My granny. So then it was right on her. You know what I mean? I'm in prison. Her daughter in prison. 2 kids. Who raising them? Her. And then the blessed part about it was, and she was living at my granny's house. So it was like, I feel like it was more than a double blessing. It was a triple blessing, because my grandmother was still providing in her old age. You know, when my granny died, my mother lived with her, my kids lived with her. A lot of my other family members still live there. You know what I mean? They was eating. It was a regular night. I'm calling on the phone, collect. She's still paying bills. By the time sunrise, my granny had passed. So, you know, that's why my saying, it don't stop till the casket drop. That's where I get that from. My granny went out providing. Y'all was eating out of her refrigerator. Y'all was using her lights, her electricity. Them kids slept warm in granny house that night. You know what I mean? She went out providing. So that time was really difficult, because I just felt so much guilt and shame, you know, putting my mother through those things and repeating that cycle. But it enlightened me on what I can do and my ability to change those things. So
it was very heartbreaking. Many nights crying. Like I said, holding a roll up. You know what I mean? Many a nights. You know, I couldn't even see him. I didn't even see him for like 14 months. I had to play the game and get transferred and try to get the fire camp just to get down to, you know, CIW to get down just so that I could see my kids. Like, because my mama had a record, couldn't get in, can't get all the way up north. And then I'm feeling guilty because that's trying to get up there, transportation, renting a car, hotels, gas, all that. So I was just like, you know what, Ma, take care of them. And the little you could do for me, you know what I mean, I'll be cool with that. So it was numerous amounts of, you know, tons of guilt and shame and regret. But it was also that mirror saying, you know what, you have a chance, you don't have that long, see this for what it's worth, take grasp of it, be honest with yourself, and make the change. Because I have the opportunity. You know what I mean? Not like most that I sat with, either my age or older, that was still fighting for just a day. So if I always look at things and find something to be thankful for. But that time was the fight of my life because I was fighting for two little people that I was responsible for. And I started to feel those feelings of a child. That, you know what, they can actually come here. It's time for me to put them feelings in my shoes, walk on them, and get right, you know, as well as heal. So that I could be a better mother for them. So that time was when the rubber met the road again for me. And I made up my mind. You know, it used to be a lot of stuff going on. I even got out early. In the beginning of it, I knew that I had a feeling that I was going to get out. And I got out that next year. A lot of people, they was like, what's going on? You know, the laws was changing. You can go home on house arrest. But I claimed it when I first went. And I walked that straight and narrow. But I had a lot of friends. It was many of us who started, but only a few of us was able to reap it when it actually happened. And I was happy that I stayed focused in prison because that's another dynamic. I didn't get involved in things that could have still took my freedom from me. So when that time came a year later, and you know how stuff in prison and these laws and stuff, when it came out, I was ready and I was eligible because I stayed down, I stayed in faith. I did what I had to do to get the things that I would need, take classes so that I could get back out here in the world and take care of these kids. But just like your father knows, there is a world inside of prison. There is women that I met in prison that went on 2.5 and don't know where the last 17 years went because they didn't went in there and got themselves involved with homosexuality or the fake family, and now they in debt and they, you know what I mean, they owing and they picking up more time. So it is a trying thing, you know, and it's hard to get out. You gotta focus when you're in there to get out. It's not easy. It ain't about just doing time and coming home. You gotta want it and you gotta fight for your day, and that's real.
Yeah, I think that even just hearing it brings back memories for me, and then it also puts chills through my body, especially when you talked about the grandma component, you know, because my grandmother is still raising kids, other people's kids that and their parents is here and they not really, you know, they could be doing better.
Yeah.
And I think they know that too, but they caught up in what they caught up in, and, you know, so it's generational because it's the same thing with my mom, you know, and it's just a cycle, and just hearing it makes sense. So now that you kind of went through all those things from childhood, being in prison, you know, coming to that realization of trying to do better for your kids, but also do better for yourself, because if you didn't do better for yourself, you couldn't do nothing for them. Yeah. So, like, how did the trauma you experienced impact your emotional trauma? And what I mean by that is, like, all these things are happening. As you were growing up, was there still, like, pieces to the puzzle that you were still putting together as you was trying to put yourself together, or you just got out of jail and everything was cool, or you were still kind of going through it emotionally?
No. Of course not. But I was thankful, once again, because it was like that time that I spent, I was grinding, getting the knowledge and getting tools. And I was getting strapped up. You know what I mean? I was getting ready to come out to the world. I was getting ready for the trials and tribulations. So when they came, I was ready, you know, and I got some down times, and I probably got some tear jerkers. But what I've learned about life is, like, those was just the lessons. Process those and get the formula. And it's like, once I learned the formula that worked for me, I'm just using it on every single thing, you know, just staying down, not wavering in my faith, staying focused, you know what I mean, resorting on the things that I know how to do, not worried about what I don't got, You know what I mean? It's just once I conquered that, you know, kind of mastermind my grind, I just use it on my whole layout, on every situation. It don't matter what I go through. You know, I stay down. That's all I can say.
Did you have like trust issues growing up with or anything? Did anything like affect you to where it made you not? Because I hear you talking about like the things that you did positively to keep that balance, but more so, what were
the depression set in a lot.
Okay.
When you get out and you can't get no job, and you know, I love music, and I could say a song. I don't like to dream about getting paid, and I'm getting these crumbs and I'm getting these dollars. I'm talking about I didn't work all the way from Popeyes, $10 an hour. You know what I'm saying? And I'm walking past the Humvees or I'm catching the bus through the hood, and they hustling on the block and they eating and it's looking good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm frustrated because I'm trying to do the right thing and I can't get ahead. That depression can weigh a ton on you. But once again, I stayed down. I used the same formula. I wrote down my goals. I figured out what I could accomplish with what I had, and I went out there and got that. So while I was going through that and other people were succeeding over me, you know, I was seeing the fast money or whatnot, I read my credit, seen what I could get with my little $10 an hour, went and seen what kind of car I wanted, stacked up my money, caught the bus faithfully, did whatever I had to do, and went back and got it. Was I hurt going through it? Yeah. Was I stressed out and disappointed when people I thought would be there? Yeah, but so what? Like, that's what made me. That's who I am. That's how I learned. That's how I got insight. That's how I have mercy on others. See, because I did that to somebody too. It's times I ain't stayed down. It's times I ain't kept my word. So it's like, that's why I'm so understanding and empathetic, because it took me a while. And who's to say that 99th or that 100th time not going to be the time for somebody else to get it? It took that. That's why I'm here today. You know how many videos I seen in prison? How many people came in here and looked at just like me? Professor Winfrey Reese, Cal Poly Pomona, re-entry program. Stayed down with me when I got out, had an anchor for me when I came home. And I came and did the same thing. Because it was somebody who did just what I'm doing right for me that said, you know what, I could do that. It was all, and keep it 100, it was all the ex-smokers I seen in my life that turned drug counselors. It was all the lifers that I seen that came from nothing and got out here. And I was just meeting along the way. That's where I got my inspiration from. People going through harder times than me, displaying that strength. I learned from that. We all good, and I took from that. So, you know, it was that. And in the gangs, when the trauma came from me in the gangs, was this all fun till you see your friends die. That's when the fun over, basically. Everybody, you know, doing their thing until your friends die and start going to jail. And then you like, okay, this is real. It's not just a party.
Yeah.
So then you experience that childhood trauma of losing friends and people you grew up with. You know what I mean? So it's so many levels of hurt and pain out there in those streets. But I just believe because we saw so many go, that if I'm still here and have a chance, it has to be a reason for me. And I gotta find that good in it.
That's a lot right there within itself. And that's part of the reason why, you know, I wanted you to come on Mental Health in the Hood to share some of that, to get some of this good energy she had, because she's been through so much, right? But she's actually in a good place right now, but she's still going through a lot.
Right.
And she's still maintaining her space and holding it strong.
Exactly.
So moving forward, I got another question for you.
Okay.
Could you share with the everyday people what your life adjustment looked like to create balance in your growth? So basically, it's like kind of share with them what it looked like, the good and the bad, just to create that balance dealing with everyday life.
Okay.
Still be focused. Keep it positive.
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you to the way I know. I believe the people that I'm gonna reach gonna understand. I don't even have to go far back or make nothing up. Last night it was cracking in the hood. See it all over social media. I made a choice to not go. Period. Choose. What are you about? Do your life reflect what you're talking about? And it comes from the everyday to day. It's levels. Just because I'm out, I'm the program manager. I'm the supervisor of my job. Came from nothing. But that is another level. My coworker asked me right here, how do I feel about it? I said, you know what? Obviously, there is something or somebody on my side. I'm going to be provided for. Favor is on my life. Now I'm in a place where I'm seeking nothing but the wisdom. The wisdom to know how to feed a multitude. The wisdom to know how to be in leadership. See, everybody wants the position because they want the bag. But it comes with a lot of responsibility.
And the title.
Come on
and the
now.
status and the
Yeah,
title.
and the validation from other people.
Right.
See, but what I'm about is for real. And I know that I owe. And I owe my people. I owe my people who I led astray. I owe these other kids to tell the truth about incarceration and how it feels to want to be, a part of something. Don't be a part of the gang. Go be a part of something at school. Find you something else that can help change your life. And people like us who've been through it, it's time for us to be honest about it. So, like, once again, on my everyday life, it's all the way down to what I listen to. I ain't riding around listening to shoot 'em up, kill 'em, lay 'em down dead. I'm riding around listening to bills, spread the love, give the power back to your people. You know what I mean? So it's all about what you feeding yourself spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and figure out, identify what helps you get along. I got right with the structure. So like we hear early, I would learn how to program, learn how to get up, learn how to keep yourself busy and find something to do. Find your niche, search for your purpose. Don't sit out here lost. And if you can run a game, you can run a business. If you can sell dope, you could get a business. You could do inventory and export. You can do that. Those same skills that you already have within yourself, apply for something.
More
and you will be amazed at what you know how to do and what you can accomplish with the things and the talents and gifts that's already inside you. Give them to one of these higher powers out here. I don't care who you believe in. Get with something spiritual. Help you get connected. Get right and get solid.
Yeah.
All right.
You got to respect their grind.
She said it. It's so many points. And I think the biggest thing that I like about what she started off with is a decision to choose and decision to make those decisions. Because sometimes I'll sit at home and I'll get invited to somewhere, and it's that same feeling like, I know them, like, why should I not? But then it's like, you got work on Monday. You got emails you got to send out. You got studying you got to do. So I can't do what everybody doing because I'm not everybody. You know what I mean? So it's like, that is even hard. And I think that's what a lot of young people struggle with, is being able to make decisions on their own without seeking validation, without looking for somebody to tell them, oh, you shouldn't do this, or you MIA. And it's like, you should be MIA. Right. Certain levels requires a certain time, a certain amount of alone time. You can't go to new levels without spending time alone. And you will, if you don't spend time in solitude, it don't give you time to reflect. It don't give you time just to think. It don't give you time just to process. And I think right now in this world, people do have difficulties with being alone. And you can't go through to create this balance. You can't go through this process without doing it for yourself. And I feel like if more people put in the work that you've done, Charles done, and what I've done, we all done it our own way at our own timing, but we knew we had to do it alone. And I think a lot of people think, oh, I got to bring Brittany with me, or I'm trying to bring Tasha with me. And it's like, when you gonna come in this world on your, you're gonna come in this world by yourself. You're gonna lead this world by yourself. No matter who you are, celebrity, we all go out the same way. So matter of fact, why not spend that time now? Don't look at it as loneliness, because just because you alone don't mean that you're lonely. Alone just means just doing things and being in a period of solitude. And I think that's where a lot of people had it shift at, because they out there looking for that validation. We live in a popcorn era, like, oh, I want to do this because this person doing it. It's like, well, what you really want to do?
Right.
If you really want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix, then do that. You didn't really want to go to the party because you didn't wake up to get dressed like you was going to the party. But because you get one phone call, your whole life get influenced. You can't keep going through this, because influence comes through anything. You can wake up and be like, I'm going to get a job. Then something that happened where somebody has sent something your way to see if you really going to get that job.
And disturb that peace. Knock you off your grind.
Right. So with everything you been, go ahead, Dan.
I like that, because I just want people to feel this energy right here. This energy, it came from right here and it pushed around the Dynasty. I'm going to let it stay right there. Go ahead, Dynasty.
So with everything you have been through with your trauma, give the people in the world some words of encouragement that change is real. And that's your last question.
Change is real.
I believe that all of your unfortunate situations are fortunate when you turn them over, when you surrender. and you show your hand to a higher power, he gonna guide you and lead you and show you why all those things happen for you in your life. How could I say you can change, or you can overcome, or you can accomplish, or you can get off parole, you can get off baby 109, you get off probation, you get back your EBT card, you can get out the matrix, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
How could I say that in all honesty to you guys if I had not went through it on my own? So it's a basic formula, you know, the hard work, the dedication, you know, being loyal to yourself by helping yourself to make those good decisions when it comes to your community or who you actually going to be loyal to. Figure that out. You know, figure out your support system. Figure out who you can tap into when you're ready to give up. You know, make sure you got a good team. You know, make sure you staying woke. You're reading. You know, feeding your spirit and your mind. Seeking is one of the great things that I have learned, that when you seek it and you have a desire to want it, it will manifest, you know, and show itself in your life. Your path will be made known unto you. Just continue to keep that first, you know, keep God first, and all other things will be added unto you, you know. Catch your niche.
And I
Your
think,
formula.
yeah. And I think too, when I heard you bring out so many points that it makes me think about things. My mind is going crazy. I think the biggest thing too is when you think about it, I think a lot of people know who they are when they're happy and when things are going well.
Yep.
But then one thing that I know I struggle with still to this day is, who are you when things are not going so well?
Exactly.
And how do you find that same reserve of resources within yourself to get through that? And I feel like character is not made out of roses and sunshine. Your character is really made from your struggle.
Exactly.
And sometimes people don't want to identify with the struggle because it hurt. And as soon as we feel some pain, we want to get away from that pain. So we resort to drugs. We resort to toxic people. We resort to the things that are unhealthy for us, because some people don't want to sit through what she had to sit through, you know, for 2-3 years or however much time she had to sit through, or I had to sit through. That pain, nobody really wants to deal with that head on. So I feel like that's something I've learned with. It's like, okay, Dynasty, if you mad, process it, deal with it, move on. And however long it takes me, I'd rather deal with that than just be worried about the happy side of me. Because the happy side is so easy. But when things go wrong, say if your car get taken, or your job get taken, or somebody do something that ain't right. What if somebody do something to you that you didn't even deserve? But you got to go through that in order to build who you are. So I think that's another thing, is that I hear a lot about character and what you're saying, because that's what makes you who you are. But a lot of us don't know who we are, and that's okay too. So I hope that you guys are taking the information that Danielle is talking about today, because it's a process for everybody. You know, finding your purpose, finding that sense of alignment, creating that vision, creating that balance, being able to make those positive decisions is what makes you. Dad, you want to add anything before we?
No, I'm just liking the energy that y'all two is vibing off each other. You know, Danielle, she truly is that rose that comes up out of the concrete. You know, she's a beautiful person inside and out, and I'm just proud of her. You know, her grind, you know, her being a mother, her bouncing back, because I can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? I can relate to the temptations that's out there and being able to make good decisions under temptations. I can relate to the struggles of learning how to see light through darkness. You know what I mean? To be the person that we are today and still go through struggles and still be able to balance that. You know what I mean? Life is all about balance. So I'm just, I love the energy. I'm glad that you came to the show. I knew that you would be good for mental health in the hood, and to be able to voice out there for all the people that's watching. So y'all please continue to subscribe and support us, support the team, and that's all I would like to say out there to the everyday people.
Yeah. So first and foremost, we want to thank Danielle for coming. You know, have a hug.
Thank you for having me. This is my sister, y'all.
That's what we need, more Black women showing each other love. We need more of that. So I hope that's encouragement for y'all. So the next Zoom meetup is Wednesday, September 30th at 7 p.m. Tell a friend, bring a friend. Season 2, episode 5 will be posted on Sunday, September 27th at 9 o'clock a.m. And season 2 ends on September 30th, and we will be going on break until season 3 starts. We'll keep you guys updated. So how you can support us, like my dad said, follow, subscribe, like, tell people about the platform, and make sure you subscribe. You see that red subscribe button every time I post. Please subscribe and click it. Other than that, we thank you so much for coming on the show, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you.